You suspended Sean?
Can you believe that? Sean's senior year, his most important year. And Feeney suspends him.
Mr. Matthews, Sean was skipping class, mouthing off to me. He practically asked to be suspended.
Fine. Okay, fine. But this is Sean here.
Tales from the Ditch!
Welcome to Tales from the Ditch, live from the quarantine. We are currently in the middle of lockdown in Nevada, and we are coming to you still from the middle of death's door, the middle of the apocalypse, on Discord. And so here we are. Welcome, Seth. Just me and Seth, unless somebody calls in.
Yeah, wait, do we have it set up if someone calls in?
I don't know. We're on Discord. We have a server called Tales from the Ditch. And if anybody wants to just make an appearance, go ahead and come on over. Maybe we'll answer. Cool, maybe we won't. I don't know. Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
I mean, yeah, we ain't got anything else going on, so that's fine.
Exactly. I told Troy, I said, hey, I know you're working, but if you have a smoke break or something, just log in. Maybe we'll make our channel public. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I'd love to hear from anybody. And this wouldn't hamper us as far as like distance and stuff. Anybody from anywhere could jump on. That'd be cool.
We are in the middle of the apocalypse. I am now wearing a mask and look like Sub-Zero. I am one of like two people at my job. What are you doing, Sean? You're working at home?
Yeah, I'm working from home, but I'm still going out every now and then, getting supplies for my own family. But it's kind of cool at the Sparks Church. We have a benevolence thing set up where we're able to deliver stuff. A couple of the people involved with it got a drone out so they could deliver toilet paper by drone. So they don't have to, or RC car or something like that. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, just been leaving the house to get supplies and do random stuff or just deliver toilet paper to people. So it's pretty much it.
I really, really miss going to pubs, man. Like that. I didn't think it'd be that big of a deal, but not going to kickboxing and not going to Keel or, 1864, like, I know you're not doing bad. I'm doing okay, but like all I'm doing is reading fantasy books and doing push-ups.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I'm like thriving on this. I've lost weight since the quarantine started.
Oh my gosh. I have put on, oh crap.
It's awesome. But yeah, I understand. I get why people get stir crazy. I've been keeping myself really busy doing home projects and stuff, but today I wasn't able to because, it snowed last night and everything. And so I was just inside all day and it's driving me nuts. So if you're literally can't go outside and get some vitamin, I think it's a major problem.
Gotta get that D.
That's right. Anyways, question for you.
Yes.
You've got a family of 4, slightly larger than my family, 2 boys.
Yep.
Both of which you are essentially homeschooling now. And you still have to leave the house for your job. How's that going?
Yeah, so we're homeschooling. Tyler Macaluso won. we ended up having to homeschool. So you win, man. Your theology won the day. No, yeah, it's kind of weird, man, because like whenever crazy stuff is going on, a part of me is like almost okay with it, like the energy of it, because I don't know. I'm always drawn to like crazy stuff, just the energy of it, and like I don't want to say excitement, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like it's interesting to me. But then also, it's wildly inconvenient. There's people dying. It's terrible. Like USA just hit over 10,000 deaths.
Yeah.
And I drive to work. I'm the only one there. So my wife's at home trying to communicate with her kids from her work and then trying to teach our boys. So she's not just teaching them. She's having to do like Zoom meetings with parents and stuff. So I get home and it's freaking Lord of the Flies. Like the boys have just been going nuts and freaking out. And Riker has been punching more and more. and everything we order for them too, like games and stuff, is coming late or getting delayed. And that was like the only plan I had was like to buy them off like terrorists. But it's okay. It's just I miss, I don't know, I miss going out like kickboxing and going to pubs, with you and Cliff and Troy and our people. But also, like, I sometimes would have the house to myself. I don't now. It's like,
Yeah, that's hard.
yeah. And then, of course, and it kind of worked out, but I started like therapy, and it kind of worked out because it's crazy. I wouldn't have had it in my schedule to meet with her because of my hours, but because of this, I can do it. So I've been doing that, which is crazy, sitting down talking to a stranger about terrible things in my life. So, but that's been going good. So yeah, that's how we're doing.
That's great.
But
yeah, we're doing good because my wife and son would stay home for the most part anyways. And it's crazy. And I don't know if we should talk about this since it doesn't matter. So the schools have essentially shut down.
Yes.
And they're thinking they might come back before the end of the school year, but it's looking more and more like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I doubt it.
So they have in place I understand probably not ideal situation, but they have in place a system where all the kids can do their work at home for the rest of the school year potentially, and still finish. And they're, the Department of Education has said they're not counting grades from the end of the year, and there's all kinds of allowances. But one thing that I'm kind of curious about is the kids' curriculum that they're doing could essentially be done in 45 minutes a day.
Absolutely.
6 hours, 6 hours of school is translated into 45 minutes a day. And I know that some of that, you lose some in the translation from distance learning to this and that.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to know is there literally only, let's just triple it for the benefit of the doubt. Let's say it's 3 hours and we all went to school for 6 or more hours.
Yeah.
And these kids are able to get it done in, let's say, 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that the whole time it's kind of been somewhat similar to that? And I know it's a generalization, but what was your perspective from school? Like, how much time did you actually have to spend learning?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time spent was trying to get the kids to shut up and the teacher telling us to listen.
Right.
And having to repeat herself over and over. And I don't know about other kids, but I had been homeschooled before, so reading wasn't hard for me. So I'd read through stuff really quick. I didn't need the full 6 hours. I felt like a lot of the 6 hours was student management. It was like telling kids, shut up, sit down. We got to do this. We got to do that. Now you've removed it and they go, hey, this can be done in like 45 minutes. And you're taking away recess. You're taking away breaks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They've been pointing out a lot of the stuff in our system. We're seeing now it wasn't that important because the government drops it so quickly of like, hey, you can have this liquid now on a plane or you can do this and that. And people are going, wait, I thought that was a big safety issue.
Right.
But then when Corona came, they said, oh, well, you can drop it. No, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm wondering how many things we do in our system that aren't even necessary, but they're just in place because, well, that's how we do things. Well, it looks good. Well, It looks like we're learning.
I feel like we honestly in elementary school, early elementary school, right? You learn how to spell and write and add and subtract and multiply and divide. And at that point, they kind of teach you the concept. It takes a couple weeks to get it. And then once you get it, they're just drilling it into your head with homework, right?
Yeah.
So that you can use it in the future, I guess, or something like that. But that's the same, if you ask me, as busy work. And so nobody's actually truly, I don't know. It's like, I feel like I didn't really learn a whole lot after like 5th grade. And maybe that's because you and I became better friends and we were terrible examples on each other. But like, I learned concepts after that point, but I learned to drone out all of the busy work, which is why I didn't do so well in high school grade wise. But I still think I retained some of the important things. And I guess what's more important is I learned that there's a way to do things, and I may not know it, but I can go to a library or use the internet to find out how to do it whenever I need to actually. And I think that's maybe the more important, right?
I mean, because I remember when we did the Teams to See high school program, which was high school and college combined.
Yeah.
I took Gen Psych, and I showed up only for the tests.
Yep.
And just read what I felt I needed to, and I got a B plus.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, man, college is fantastic. And I just kept doing that. And then some classes I was like, I wonder if I can pass without even showing up. And it didn't work most of the time, but I remember one class I stopped showing up and I actually still got a C minus. And I'm like, for what? I even was like, I didn't deserve this. What? But I think it was a film class, and the guy just stopped caring because he was like going through a divorce. But
there's an episode of Boy Meets World, which probably informed our thought process at the time, but where Sean is still in high school, but he starts going to college.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
And I don't know, he went to college because he was like, the girls are cuter or something. And but he stays because he goes like, hey, people appreciate my deep philosophical thought process in college more than they do in high school. And so he went to college and he was doing great. And he was like the star student because everybody loved poor man's mentality and the way he arrived at like philosophy and stuff.
Yeah.
But then he had to do a paper and the teacher was like, oh, you got an F. He's like, you weren't even able to write this stuff. It's like you never went through high school or something. And like, that was a big lesson for everybody to learn, that you learn your basics in high school so that you can perform well in college. But I don't think that's true. I don't know if my writing ability improved since 5th grade, literally. As a matter of fact, I think I was more familiar with writing and what's a participle and a verb and all of those things in 5th grade than I am now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I passed because I lied, cheated, and stealed. And I manipulate emotions and people. Is
that how you say it? Stealed?
Steal. See?
Exactly.
And I passed. I got the Millennium Scholarship. I'm sorry, but for some reason, God has given me this grace where people let me get away with murder and have such a low standard for how I have to act. It just, oh gosh, it's just so ludicrous. But I don't know. Our whole system is just screwed, and this is just nuts. I'm driving with a mask on to pick up food for the 5th time, stuck in this house. The kids have war paint on. There's 3 fires I'm not going to put out. It's just so, oh my gosh. I don't know how you lost weight. I would have to fight at Chuck Liddell's weight class right now. It's
crazy. I've been like, the thing is I've been taking breaks. Like when I'm at work, I'll take a break, right? I do a break here to go for a long walk to get my steps in. And I take a break here, like doing a Pomodoro routine where I'm just trying to like focus my mind as well as I can. And instead, I channel all of those breaks into large chunks of doing stuff around the house. I tore down, listeners don't know, but I have that big sunroom in the backyard, right? Yeah. It's like an addition to my house. It's the whole size of a whole patio. And it's this stupid room that the people who lived in this house before us built. And I just tore it down because I was tired of it.
Yeah.
And that's a big job, but I'm able to do it, and it's a lot of work. And so I'm eating less and working harder. It's almost like I have a job. It's almost like I'm working the way I feel like I was created to work. You know what I mean? At my
Only
leisure.
You would thrive during the pandemic. You're like, this is pretty good, guys. Gosh. Well,
let's do some stories, I guess.
I just want to tell ones that I know for fact. Okay. I haven't told this story before, or,
it's honestly, I have no idea what we've told and what we haven't.
Yeah.
So I would say just go for it. And who cares if we repeat ourselves? That's because it's worth talking about a second time. I keep thinking there's a lot of good stories to tell, but I don't think it's quite time to tell them whether it's the statute of limitations or other things. So you just go for it, and I will we'll see what happens. How about that?
Yeah, and I can tell stories too that either weren't reported or they don't have evidence. So,
There you go. A story or a tale?
What's the difference? What's the difference between a story and a tale?
I don't know. Tale has less letters. Something I learned in school.
Something I learned in the education system. Yeah, so there's one I can think of. It was interesting because my friend's ex-wife, this was the first time she met me, which isn't really important, but I just remember because she brought it up the first time. He was like, hey, this is my new girlfriend. And she's like, oh, yeah, I saw him do this terrible thing. So, but anyway, so we are at this costume party.
Let me stop you right there.
Okay.
We.
Huh?
Who is we?
Oh, yeah. So me and a few of my friends from the hardcore scene. I honestly can't even remember everyone in. I think my friend Jeremy was there.
Were you dressed up as a Punisher or the Crow?
No, so the Punisher was another night. What did I dress up for this? I think I just showed up without a costume.
Was it Halloween or just a random costume party?
It was Halloween. I always got in trouble on Halloween, man. Like all the time. But so I was there, and I don't remember if I was dressed up. I might have had like a hockey mask on or something. But which wasn't really a costume back then, but I had it. Something went down with the host. He was this friend of ours because he started arguing with these 2 or 3 guys. And I had just shown up, and I don't know what it was about, but some argument. So he leaves to go outside, and the host was kind of a big dude. He's like 6 foot something, like bigger guy. And I look at my friend Jeremy. I'm like, what the heck's going on? What's the problem? Because we don't even know where the argument came from. The host was tanked. He was drunk and was just arguing with these 3 guys. One of them was a bigger dude. Like he juiced. He was a bigger dude. So me and Jeremy go out front, and people are circling around, and the host is talking with the big juiced guy, getting his face, and they're arguing. And the juiced dude has 2 friends on the side, and they're kind of glaring at us like, what are you going to do? Well, the host, I think, started shoving the big, like, steroid guy. And I turn to the steroid guy's friend, who he's dressed as a suitcase for Halloween, which I thought was kind of creative, you know?
I like it.
I was like, all right, a fight's going to go down. So I just turn, grab him by the hair and head, and start kneeing him. But I'm kneeing him in the body, and he has a suitcase on. So I'm just saying a suitcase. So I turn him, and I knee him in the face. I think Jeremy punches him in like the neck, and the guy just drops. And one of our friends is like fighting, wrestling with another guy on the ground. Well, I turn over, turn to look to my left, and the host is on the ground because I guess the steroid guy just punched him right in the face, like really hard. And this dude is like big. He's a big dude. So being the responsible guy I am, I think it was like just a huge bottle. And I had a history with these things, but just a huge freaking bottle. Like, you know, when there's a big Jameson bottles and stuff like that, like the giant size and all that.
Yeah, which is weird because you didn't drink at the time.
No, I didn't drink, but I was always around bottles. I grabbed it, like crow hop over, and just smash that steroid guy in the head.
Crow hop.
Yeah,
you have to explain that.
All right, so it's kind of like a little, like if you're running and then throw a punch, it's kind of like a quick skip with your front foot and then just toss your hand over and sock them, a crow hop. It's hard to explain on a podcast, but it's just, imagine running into a punch or kind of like a quick skip.
It's
jump.
Like a skip. Yeah, I would say it's a skip. One skip.
So I crow hop, smash the guy. But when the bottle hits, it sounds like a gun going off, like so loud on the street, where some people thought, you know, a gun did go off. And the interesting thing is, I just remembered this. Part of the reason I jumped in was he said something like, what, bro? You know, I'm strapped. Something about, you know, what are you going to do? Get back up. Like he had a gun. So I smash him in the head and he's like bleeding, just bleeding. And everyone goes inside. Those guys leave, which I found out, I think it was like a week later. I can't remember. I think they shot at his house. like a week later.
Jeez.
But yeah. But like I go inside and the host is pissed at me. He's mad I jumped in. I didn't need your help. You know, he was tanked, so he was mad because I think it like hurt his pride because a little guy like me helped him. My hand's bleeding a little because my hand had slipped on the bottle, so it was like cut into my hand. So I just wrapped it with one of his like towels and was like, all right, I'm leaving, man. Got out of there and head home, tell my roommate, and he's like, you really need to stop, man. And I was like, oh, fighting like that? I was like, I didn't even start. He goes, no, the bottles, dude. He goes, just enough with the bottles. I was like, I just find them. He goes, no, this is a pattern. And just, so yeah, that was that night. And I never saw that guy again, but I guess he was looking for me for like 2 months and then eventually let it drop. But he was, see, that's the thing about doing crap like that. You never know. He was just going around town looking for me. But I want to say he shot at their house because I think he shot in one of their cars or something like that. But so, yeah. So that's a
Nice.
story. That's one of them. But oh gosh, it just, see, stuff like that, man. Because you never know. If he already, it was dark, I couldn't see. If he already has hand on the gun and he had turned around and saw me with the bottle and he shoots me in the chest, like, yeah, just stupid things I did back in the day. I think I was like 21, something like that. But this dude was juiced out of his gills. And I'm like, I'm not fighting you fair. I was like, no, I want to win. But yeah, so that's that. You got any stories here?
I kind of remember a Halloween-ish story, and they kind of all blend together a little bit.
Yeah.
So I can't really pick them apart. And maybe you'll remember so you can help me out. But can we talk about your brother at all? He doesn't listen to it. He doesn't care.
Oh, we cannot. Yeah, he doesn't. Well, and he doesn't give a crap.
He's not applying for any high government positions, right?
No, he's already in the door. And
did we actually talk about when we failed his interview for a government position? Did we talk about that?
Because he failed because of past stuff with us, right?
Yeah. Did we explain that?
We only hinted at it. I don't think we explained it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to explain it, and then I'm going to explain, because it kind of explains his character a little bit, but then I'm also going to explain another story about Halloween.
Okay.
Costume stuff.
Okay.
So your brother's name is, we'll just call him Jeb. And he's this guy who obviously you've known a while. I met him when we were in 4th grade. And in 4th grade, that would make him a freshman. Is that right?
When I was in 4th grade, he was in high school.
Yeah.
He was
all right.
freshman.
So freshman. Fresh into high school, 16 years old, can be laid back, just chill life. And he was the most intense person that I knew. And I knew a lot of freshmen in 4th grade, but he was just always really intense.
Yeah.
So anyways, I flash forward to the year that you get married, which is what, 8-9 years ago now?
10 years ago.
10 years ago, you get married. And I hadn't seen your brother in a long time, but you're getting married. So he comes to town and we do a bachelor party, right? And so we couldn't do a whole lot of crazy bachelor party stuff because we've been saved and are being sanctified by Jesus. And so we're not doing the whole bachelor party kind of like stripper thing. But also we're a little more mature than we were after becoming saved. And so we're not doing the crazy cause havoc thing. We're just trying to do a regular old thing that doesn't get us into trouble. And I was responsible for planning this, which was really difficult because it's like when those are your options, what do you do? You know what I mean? So that was tricky. But anyways, I figured it out and I decided, let's go snowboarding. Right? Which is a weird thing, but you were getting married in the winter and it was something that we'd all done before. I think Brennan came with us and your brother came with us.
Yep.
And we decided to go snowboarding. It was a fun time. And anyways, so we're sitting on the chairlift, riding up the side of the hill. And Jeb was telling us, and if I need to edit any of this out, tell me, but Jeb was telling us, hey, I'm applying to be in the FBI. And that made sense because, like I said, he's always an intense guy, very methodical guy, could be a serial killer, but he's not. He's a good guy, but he has kind of that mentality of just intensity and discipline and all of that, right?
Yeah, because the implications.
The implications. And most FBI guys, at least that I'm aware of in the movies, are always like only 2 or 3 degrees from being a serial killer anyway.
Yes.
So Jeb, I was like, that would work out. And he was telling us about the process, and he had to do a bunch of things. But one thing that he told us about was he goes, I have to take a polygraph, and then a year later I have to take another polygraph and make sure that things match or whatever.
Yeah.
So he goes,
I remember.
He goes, I've already taken the first one and I passed, and they put me through to this other process, and he had to do some crazy stuff not involving the polygraph. And so he goes, in a little while, I'm going to take my second polygraph. And after that, they'll determine whether or not I get to go in. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what kind of things are they asking you? Like, what do they care about? And how do you, did you have a tack under your toe and all of those things?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, they just ask you, like, what type of illicit activities or substances were you involved with? What kinds of crimes did you commit? Things like that. And you have to be honest. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, that's crazy. So I was like, you were honest about all the stuff? He goes, yeah, I've had a kind of a life marked with ordeals that weren't exactly legal. And so I mentioned all of those. And I was like, oh, yeah, like being the biggest drug dealer at the time at Sparks High. And he goes, well, I don't know if I was the biggest one. And I go, well, it was pretty big. Do you remember that huge? I mean, this was before weed was legal, Seth. Do you remember the giant bag of weed he had?
Oh, yeah, it was a lot.
top drawer of the dresser. Yeah, that was a lot. Yeah. That was like more than a kilo from what I know. And I was like, that's a pretty big deal. He goes, it wasn't that much. And I go, dude, I remember it was huge. He goes, well, we'll just have to agree to disagree. I was like, furthermore, do you remember like being the one who gave Seth and me beer when Seth and me were in 4th grade, and you gave us a ton of beer and then had us go play football outside, and we couldn't run straight and catch the ball or anything like that? And he goes, no, I don't remember that. And I go, and do you remember this? And I just kept bringing up all of these things. And he would be like, that never happened. And I would look to you and you'd be like, no, that happened. And then you were like, yeah, and remember this time you did this, and remember the time you did this. And it was like 50 things that he had either forgotten about, or maybe he had like blacked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he hadn't mentioned on his first polygraph. And so apparently he goes back for the second one. He goes, hey, I just want to be upfront with you guys. I came to realize after the fact that these things happened, and he didn't make it.
Yeah.
He was disqualified. He was disqualified because he left those things out. And if we wouldn't have talked about it, he wouldn't have remembered it, and he probably would have passed. So, yeah. So anyways, he's an intense guy, crazy guy, could be in the FBI if he didn't have his memory brought back to him at the inopportune time. So that's the guy that we're dealing with, who at the same time as got us drunk in 4th grade, also was like serving his country and doing all those things. I don't know how to explain it. It's a weird guy. So anyways, I remember there was one Halloween, and you and I and a bunch of our friends from elementary school were hanging around the ditch area, going from house to house. And honestly, we weren't doing much. We were just trick-or-treating for the most part. And occasionally we would run across a group of people we didn't like and maybe tried to have a little impromptu Donnybrook with them. Or, maybe there was an egg or two, but I don't really remember that being a big part of our routine. But I know that what always seemed to happen every time we were out together is we would piss off older people.
Yes.
Specifically, like high school age kids, remember?
Yep.
And I remember one time we were trick-or-treating, I believe, and we were walking from one house to another, or we were walking on this long, dark stretch of road, and some older kids from high school, and we were in 4th or 5th grade, some older kids from high school came and gave us trouble, and I think somebody spit at us, and they got out and threatened us and all kinds of stuff. And we just ran away, which was good.
Yeah.
And hopped some fences and went through some backyards and got away and finished the night out. And then I remember, like, it was even a couple weeks later we told Jeb about it. And Jeb was like, okay, what was the vehicle?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, pickup truck. And he goes, what'd they look like? And we gave him a terrible description of a bunch of kids. And I remember and I don't know if he did this just to satisfy his own desire to get even, or if he truly thought they were the people who hassled us, but he found some group of people that matched our incredibly vague descriptions. Yeah, Jeb took a swift and extreme vindication on people, and he wasn't even 100% sure that they were the actual people. And this is what was crazy to me, but also kind of explains you to me a little bit better. It's like this rough shot from the hip, like, hey, these people vaguely resemble what I've heard could be the ones who picked on my little brother. So I'm going to take out my justice on them, and then I'm absolved of everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what you do that a lot as well. But I think Jeb did that in my experience, like in almost every situation.
Yeah, he to this day, like, we may not always agree, but he is fiercely loyal. Like he just is. Even when his friends weren't great to him, he was ready to fight. He fights for his friends. He fights for family. Like, he's
Absolutely.
just an intense dude. Everything he does, and this is me saying this, everything he does, he's intense. But yeah, he's an interesting dude. He's like, almost 5 years older than me now.
That was the crazy thing, is he fought for me, not because he liked me, but because I was your friend. I remember the first time I came over to spend the night and met Jeb, I was such an arrogant little edgelord. And he was telling me about stuff that he liked, and I was just insulting everything. You know what I mean? You guys had just gotten Final Fantasy 3, and I was looking at the jacket for Final Fantasy 3. I was like, this is a joke. I was like, look at this guy, Mog. He looks like a thumb. And Jeb's like, actually, I really hold this game in very high regard. I was like, this is ridiculous. You guys are stupid. And I remember Jeb. Exactly. I remember Jeb would say crazy things about his exploits. I'm like, yeah, right. Nobody's ever honest about stuff. You're just like BSing, blah, 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 which was my insecurity coming out, obviously. But even with that very first impression that he got of me, he always defended me forever just because I was your friend, which I thought was cool.
Yeah. He, from now on, you know, I'm just going to handle things like Trump handles press conferences. Just from now on. That's just how I'm going to handle every discussion. Just be like, no, rude, wrong, be nice. That's fake. No, I want a real reporter. Real questions, not stupid. No.
Sit down, fake news.
Sit down. No, this is why I hate your channel. This is why I hate your family. This is why your church is the worst. Just keep going. I am doing a fantastic job at everything all the time. Shut up.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. No, Jeb's an interesting cat, man. He's just an interesting dude. He really is. Like, I don't know that
Oh no, I lost you. Oh.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was just yawning because I'm the void of death is just crying out for me, making me tired.
This conversation bores me.
Yeah. No, man. Yeah, I remember he took me to a park when I was 9, and I was just tanked. And we were supposed to fight some kids from high school. And now I look back, I'm all, what did you want me to do? Like, I could have thrown rocks or like bit them while you were punching them. But like, yeah, and he was cool with that. He brought me. He was like, no, you're gonna fight. I'm like, all right. And that, I think that's also why I was drunk, because it helped me not be scared. But
he talked to me once. I don't know if I've ever told you this. He talked to me about actually, this is actually an interesting thing. I don't know if it's a good story, but it's interesting. So you and me, remember when we were in 5th grade, you moved away, right?
Yes.
You moved to the other side of town, different school, all of that stuff. So we didn't really get to see each other. And so we were like, hey, our parents are dopes. So we'll just tell them that we're involved in the church so that we can do youth group every week and see each other, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so they would deliver us to this UFFV youth group, and we would do some bad stuff there. But that's besides the point. The whole idea was that we got to hang out, even though we didn't have cars and we couldn't go all the way across town unless we rode the bus, and the bus didn't go to each of our houses, so it sucked. Anyways, and it was super nice. Your parents, like, for the sake of saving my soul, would come and pick me up and take me and then drive me home every night. It was crazy. Yeah. But anyways, so while we were there, one night, Jeb picked us up after one of these youth group things.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly what was going on, but there was some girl, and I actually can't remember who the girl was, but we both had like a crush on her, both you and me at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? What's the etymology of crush, by the way? Do you know what that means? Like, where does that term come from?
Probably Latin for to smash. I don't know. I know something from Latin. I don't know. I assume it's from Latin. I don't know.
You crush on somebody? I don't get it. Oh well. Anyways, so I remember what happened. Jeb had this badass like
blue truck.
Yeah, his blue Toyota. Was it a Toyota or Nissan? I don't know. But it was awesome.
Toyota.
Yeah, I think it was. It was straight out of Back to the Future 2. Anyways, he said, Seth, you ride in the pickup in the back in the bed, and Sean, you ride up front with me.
Yeah.
And you were like pissed. You were like, what? Why do I have to ride in the back? And he was just like, you get in the back. And there was a lot of times like that where he was just like, you do this, and you didn't understand it, but you just kind of went along with it because for whatever reason, like when he shot you with a blowgun one time to punish you for something that I broke.
Yes, I still don't understand any of that, literally any of it. But
actually, that's another story. I had this terrible, I'm just going to do a little side story here. I had this terrible habit of when we were playing video games on whatever system, there was a cord between the controller and the system. And I would always walk in front of people and trip on the cord and pull the entire system down and potentially break it. And you guys had a 3DO, and I did that. And I remember Jeb was so angry because it was a spinning disc. It was like the first CD system, right? And he was so mad. He said, Seth, turn around. I'm shooting you with this blowgun. Darts.
He had a blowgun.
Yeah, and he shot you with a dart that went into your calf like an inch and a half.
Yeah.
And he said, and he was like, turn around and do this. And you were like, man, I don't want to do that. And he was like, do it. And I was like, no. I was like, it was my fault. Let me take the punishment. He was like, nope, this is how it works. This is how it works in the Wild Shoot House. That's what he said. And you just did it, and he shot you. And I felt terrible. But I still didn't learn to not trip over the stupid course.
No, you did. You never learned. He was just. Why did my parents let him have a blowgun? I still like.
It's a good point.
Trust him. You couldn't trust him to take out the garbage, but you let him have a blowgun. Like they didn't learn from everything else. Like when he had plastic sword, he threw it through one of the windows. When he had a
Yes.
BB gun, he killed animals. It's like, and then they go blowgun. Yeah, that seems right. We live in Sparks. What is he hunting? Like we live on freaking Fourth, next to just crappy house after crappy house. What is he hunting? What does he need that for? It's like there was no point to that.
I don't know if I
good
can say
God.
this, so tell me if you want me to edit this out. But your parents would turn a completely blind eye to Jeb.
Yes.
He literally had hit the bottom of his bed. You know how some people like hold up their beds with cinder blocks?
Yeah.
Jeb's bed, remember when you lived on Lenwood? Jeb's bed was held up with 24 cases of beer.
Yes.
And for some reason, your parents just assumed, they go, oh, that's just like a clever decoration. I don't know what the deal was. Jeb was still in high school when you lived across town on Becky, and he had a whole wall bigger than my liquor cabinet now of different alcohols,
Yeah.
of like bottles displayed. Remember that by that fireplace?
Oh, I remember it. He didn't even try to hide it. And I'm like, oh, but I'm not allowed to listen to Offspring. Okay.
Exactly. I never understood it. And it's just a weird thing. Your parents just like ignored it, or I don't know what it was. I don't know.
I think
if
they were
just blocking it.
sick of like fighting with him. I
Mm.
think it was his last year when we moved, because we went from slightly lower income to lower middle class. And I think they were just like, this is last year, just let him finish. Because there had just been so much arguing, and he never backed down. He didn't know how to walk away. So
Right.
you couldn't just say something, because if you did, it was a fight. It had to be a huge argument. And I
Right.
think they were just done, and they had their own crap going on. But he wasn't even trying to hide it. Like, not at all.
It was weird. Anyways,
Okay.
so just like the blowgun, this was one of those things. He said, Seth, you get in the bed of the pickup in the middle of winter, and you ride in there while I take Sean home to his house. And
Yeah.
I sat in the front, but I remember he talked to me and he said, hey, he goes, I hear that you really like this girl. And I go, yeah. I was like, she's cute or hot or whatever. I don't know what I said at the time. And he goes, yeah, Seth likes her too. And I was like, yeah, I guess kind of. I was like, but Seth doesn't know her like I do, or something like that. I don't know what I said. And he goes, I appreciate where you're coming from, but he goes, I think that you should give this one to Seth. And I go, who are you I was like, who do you think you are getting involved in my life? Like, you have no business. He goes, I'm just saying, like, I think it would be a good idea to do that. And it was kind of this threat, but it was also just like old man advice a little bit as well. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But anyways, he did that, and I think I backed off, and you ended up dating that girl.
Did
Did I ever tell you that?
dated her. No, you told me, because I know which girl this was. You dated her after.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Okay. I think we're thinking of the same girl.
This is what was dumb. I broke up with her fairly quickly, because that's how I handled things. And then you guys dated for a while, and it did not end well.
Yeah, like all relationships.
Well, yeah. You told me this, but you didn't tell me till like years later. And I was like, oh, my brother did that for me. I'm like, I still hate him. Like,
Too late now.
Yeah, I was like, I don't give a crap. No, but he was fiercely loyal. But you said something that made me remember. You said that whole firing from the hip thing.
Yeah.
So okay. So I, at one point, with my group of friends in the hardcore scene, had just been, hanging out, getting to know people in the scene, was kind of starting to, people, not reputation, but people were starting to figure out who I was, and I was trying to be a tough guy, all that. Well, this is how old it was. This MySpace page got created, and it basically was this anonymous person who was just bad-mouthing people in the scene. Well, at some point, it would just pick random people and put like a picture and talk about them and like gossip about them, say stuff, in the scene of like, oh, so-and-so has herpes, so-and-so's a loser, so-and-so's actually gay, stuff like that. Well, one day, a friend of mine texts me and goes, and I was trying to learn what text was because I just got a cell phone. But I had just a phone for so long, a home line I didn't pick up on purpose. He says, "Hey, have you been on MySpace?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "You should check that profile." And they had done like a post about me, and they were talking about these girls I dated, and how pathetic it was, and he like wrote poetry to this girl, something like that, about how I was soft, and these girls weren't even interested. I thought I was smooth, something like that, something just stupid, very like, where I was like, well, yeah, I'm not that cool, but I was like, these girls still date me, so I feel like I'm winning. And that was kind of my revenge from high school, is I was like, all right, finally I can get girls to date me, and the girls I want to date me. But he was like, he's not that charming, and he sleeps around, and he acts all tough, but then he's super soft around these girls in private. So I don't know, I can't quite remember, but I remember it irritated me, and basically they were just mouthing off. So the next month or two, we were trying to find out who this person was, because he did it to my friend Ryan, he did it to me, he did it to a few other people. And then it gets around that it's this one dude I know, like a friend of ours, and not confirmed, but that's what I'm told. It's this dude. So that's important for the story. So I tell my friends, I go, when I see him, I'm going to walk up and just punch him in the face. And they're like, "Oh, are you going to say anything?" I go, "No, I'm going to say his name. He's going to turn around. I'm going to punch him in the face. That's all I'm going to do." And I said, "Hey, that's the guy. He apparently is the gossip. I'm going to go up and punch him in the face." So I walk through a crowd, and right before he gets to the merch desk, I just yell his name. He turns around, and I sock him in the face as hard as I can.
So awesome.
Just hit him right in the face. He falls down because he goes limp. He falls face first and breaks his nose. And the guy who, I start walking away because I go, all right, I'm done. That's all I came to do. And my friend who I said, "Hey, I'm going to go hit this guy in the face." When I turn around and start walking away, he runs up and kicks him in the head and is like yelling at him. So security grab him and kick him out. And I just walk back to the crowd. The thing is, I said this before, 3 years later, I found out it might not have been him, and that he actually wasn't using the internet that much, but he just fit kind of the general description of who we thought it was. And I apologized to him, but he, that's like what I haven't done it a ton of times, but he's one of the few couple of times where I've like dropped the guy with one punch. I've only done it like 3 or 4 times, but he's one of them.
Yeah. Do you have remorse for those things? Like, even if you don't think that it was a mistaken identity, do you have remorse for your swift actions?
I have remorse for 95% of my actions during that time period. I just, because here's the thing, even the times when I did fight, like, and said, "Oh, I'm defending someone," a lot of the time it's like, well, we could have avoided that or not been there. And a lot of the time we wanted it. And yeah, they were messing with my friends, but like also sometimes, we were being very aggressive and stuff. There was a few times where I went, no, I was helping someone out. Like my friend's boyfriend was hitting her and I stood up for her. Yeah, I feel okay about that. Like there was this one dude who had hit his girlfriend and I maced him in the face and threw a bottle at him. Like I was okay with that. Like, there was a guy who jumped our friend for honestly no reason. He was just in the wrong place, wrong time. And I beat that guy up. And so there's a few times, like, there was a guy who, when I lived in my apartment, right when I started dating my wife, we were sitting on the couch talking, and I heard something behind us, and I was like, "Hey, be quiet, be quiet." And I hear someone by the window. So I quickly pull the blinds up and go, "Hey!" And there's some guy with his hand down his pants looking in the window. His other hand has a beer. And he just starts bolting away. So he was putting his ear against the window, like wondering if we were having sex or something. I run into my room and I see my machete and I'm like, no, that's murder. So I see my nunchuck. So I grab him and I run outside and chase him. And like, I don't feel bad about that. I didn't get the guy. He got away. But like, he was a pervert creeping around houses around the college area. And there's single women around there living alone. No, he's being a creep. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff where like there was this one dude who, and what I'm about to say next is not like because I think it's so awesome. Once again, I was told he was talking crap. I walked up, just clotheslined him, didn't even give him warning, and just got him to the ground, started wailing on him, just elbowing him in the face and like punching him. And he felt so like messed up, was mad, felt embarrassed, couldn't come to shows anymore. Then he joined the military, became screwed up in there, I guess, had some like bad stuff happen. And after I beat him up, then I dated his sister a little bit.
Oh man.
And that made, yeah, it just, and he felt betrayed by her because she originally threatened me, but then she eventually dated me. And it was like, it just, that stuff I go, no, I just took sometimes stuff too far. And also it's like, I mean, I was told he was saying stuff. I don't know if he was, but they said, yeah, that guy's talking crap. I said, okay. And that's how I was. I just went over and hit him. And yeah, there's stuff like that. Huh?
Now I know heading into that situation, you thought that by acting on that information, there'd be some type of resolution or something, right? Whether it was personal, like in your soul, you thought justice would be dealt out, or if you were trying to gain some type of reputation, I don't know, whatever it was. But did it ever actually satisfy that desire for justice or that desire for vindication the way you thought it would?
No, I mean, there's a few times where, you know, it feels good sometimes to punch a bully, like to do that.
Yes.
But it never fully made you feel like everything was right with the world. Like, I mean, it'd make you, there was a temporary thing of like, good, he had that coming, and you could laugh about it later. But usually when you were that type of personality, it's because you've had stuff happen to you that you think's really unfair, and you already have that mentality. You've already had a lot of examples in your life of, oh, this is unfair, or, you know, I feel the world's unjust, or just, you know, a lot of grievances. So it temporarily gave you a little thing, but never dealt with what was really going on, you know, deep inside of that. You felt you had a grievance against the world, and that, you know, you had some things, a right to be pissed about certain things in your life. So no, it didn't deal with the core issues, but it gave you like a temporary kind of rush and high, you know. So that was about it. But no, that's, yeah, I just shot from the hip. That was like the perfect description. Just, I don't know, you say something and it's like, okay, I'll just, don't hesitate, just walk up, punch him in the face. So
it was always different with me. I always had to have a solid reason to be able to engage in a fight, right? Or I had to hate somebody, or there had to be like some type of evil that I was standing in the way of. So when it came to disliking people, I think I had a natural reason to dislike somebody, right? Like authority figures or bullies, like you said, or other people. But I would have to psych myself up and go above and beyond the status of that person already and just make them into this extreme version of what they were, like in an evil way, so that I could be passionate enough to fight, which is weird. Like I don't know. I don't know if that's normal or weird, but for me, I always felt like it was a hindrance because you and some other people had the ability to just respond with passion to a situation. And by passion, I mean violent passion. Yeah. And I couldn't necessarily until I'd like heard due process or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
It's always
weird. You want, I think you want to believe or want to know that your action was noble, that it was justified. Whereas me, it was like, well, I'll find a way to justify it in my head. Like, I'm angry and I would act first, and then later I'd, in my head, be able to justify it.
See, but that's, yeah, exactly. And both of those are inexcusable, right? In your situation, you were reacting first and justifying it later. In my situation, I was creating justification first, even if it didn't actually exist, and then acting. But either way, I think we're lying to ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're part Irish.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It just, no, there's no honesty in our soul. There's just death and Jameson. But I'd like to say thank you to no one, because we're doing this on our own. And I don't owe anyone anything. So there, take that.
Oh, you know what? My cousin, Shelly, who we've had on this show.
Oh, yeah.
She's in the middle of Africa or wherever. and she needs to get out of there and come home because coronavirus is saying that any foreign people need to like go back to their country of origin.
Yeah.
Yet they've shut down the airport. So it's kind of a tricky situation. So people can be praying for that. It's kind of ugly.
I like your cousin, nice lady. So yeah, I hope she gets home
She's great.
safe. But yeah.
Other than that, what else? Anything else?
No, I got nothing else. I'm doing my job. I am essential, and I am a special little flower. And that's it.
During this time of pandemic and unemployment, and economic depression,
economic uncertainty,
yeah, we would ask that you
give us money.
You give us money so we could quit our jobs and become full-time podcasters. And if you were to do that, if we got enough Patreons that we could quit our jobs, we would put out 2 episodes a month.
Yes. Did anyone download the last episode?
Yeah, actually, no. I a little shout out to Dave Beck, who we should have on this show. Actually, he probably has Discord. He, for one, said that he was a part of the bidet revolution, which I appreciate, but still maintains the position that cake is better than pie. And I want to hear him out just because he's an intelligent guy. I would be interested to hear what he has to say, but
I like him.
I completely disagree with him.
Yeah.
However, I've been, as far as cake versus pie goes, we agree 100% on bidets and the role of toilet paper in modern society. But he's been a great compatriot. What's a compatriot?
Compatriot, yeah, isn't he? Isn't that right? Compatriot?
Yeah, compatriot in the world that we've been creating in Risk Legacy. So it'd be interesting to get his perspective on that.
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
this is a shout out to Dave Beck.
Shout out to D Beck. Big D.
Big D. Big perm.
Swear.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say something so bad.
Here's something for the time being. We're probably going to be recording podcasts on Discord. And we have a Discord server called Tales from the Ditch. If you want to call in to the show in a digital manner, hit us up hit us up. And we will invite you to the thing. And you may or may not be on the show, and we don't know when we're doing these either. So you'll just have to pay attention. And we'll allow you to come on and maybe we could talk to you for a little while. That'd be cool, right?
Yes.
Call-in show.
Dude, if we had a call-in show, that could be so chaotic. I am so for that.
It'd be like Love Line 2010s.
Love Line. They're like, what if I have this stuck up my butt? That was like every episode.
I know.
Something with the butt. Gosh. Ugh. All right. Yeah, I got nothing else.
All right. Well, send us an email if you have any questions, concerns, or want to get on our Discord server, talesfromtheditch@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast and and I don't know what you do. I don't know. If you're hearing this, then you're already on it.
We're on iTunes and the Apple Play and Player FM and blah, blah, blah. I can never remember if it's Apple Podcast or Apple. Yeah. We're on everything. Just download us. Give us money.
And so, across the internet, zip it up.
Zip it out. Shut up, Craig.
I guess it's like Buridan's paradox. There were 2 bowls placed in front of me. One was high school and one was college. I chose college.
Every year, I watch bright kids like Sean fall through the cracks. How do you think it feels?
You should give him another chance.
I shouldn't be wasting any of Mr. Feeney's time.
Well, I can see you have some grammar problems here, and the structure is way off. This entire paper is in 1 sentence. But it's good. But Sean, you must come back to class. You have to learn the basics, and I'm going to keep teaching it. That is my philosophy. And every now and then, I'll throw in a little Schopenhauer for you.
What do you know about Schopenhauer?
Probably not as much as you do. But I'm willing to learn.